Is this it?
Well, that doesn't look like Christmas, does it?
And that is utterly pathetic.
What are you going to do? Right, these in now, and we're done. Hello and welcome to the newly Christmased up One Show with Matt Baker
and Alex Jones, and joining these wonderful Christmas decorations with us is the beautiful Sheila Hancock. So, what do we make of this? Have we even got a snow machine outside?
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? Are they outside the building doing that?
Yeah.
Gosh.
They're just turning the handle.
Dave
They're just
is
turning
just
the
on
handle
the
of the whole programme.
Amazing. And they must be freezing out there as well. No,
There we are, look.
How can you not love a robin and an earmuff? Come
rather
on now.
dodgy animals, though, don't you think?
Dodgy? What do you mean?
Those
Dodgy?
there. Don't you think that looks as though it might bite you? Don't you think?
Well, eagle-eyed viewers will notice as the weeks progress that the animals might move. Anyway.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, they might. I'm just saying.
It's just a weird game Matt likes to play.
Yeah.
So what about you at home? Have you got anything surprising that you're using as Christmas decorations this year? Or maybe you've gone completely over the top? Either way, send us a picture and we'll show them a little bit later.
Can you outdo a badger in a woolly hat? That's what we want to know. Anyway, once again, the people of the Northwest have had to cope with the worst that the weather can throw at them after Storm Desmond lashed the UK this weekend. Flood-hit families have been forced out of their homes and thousands still remain without power.
Thankfully, though, the water is starting to go down. Andy Kershaw has seen for himself the chaos and community spirit Desmond has left in its wake. The timing is just dreadful as well, isn't it? And again,
but people sticking their community spirit, that's what it's all about. I do hope that lady gets back soon enough to wrap those Christmas presents up.
I hope they still dry as well. But amidst all the bad news, this picture did make us smile. So you love this. Look, this is Mike the donkey. And he was rescued and brought onto dry land, and he's now available for nativity season. You're all right.
I can say, having got donkeys on our farm, that is the happiest donkey that I've ever seen.
Really?
Smiley donkey.
Are they not usually happy then?
Not usually.
They make an awful noise.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
They do indeed.
terrible.
But anyway, we're going to talk about your new musical.
We
now.
don't have any donkeys.
No. Grey Gardens, based
We've
in
got a few raccoons and pussycats.
Right, OK. Well, yes, because this house... I mean, you've got to tell us about this incredible story. It's basically the story of Jackie Kennedy's family, isn't it, living outside of New
It's
York.
the Bouvier family. It's kind of American aristocracy. And what happened was they discovered these two old ladies, one very old, obviously my part, and one middle-aged. And they were living in total squalor. Absolutely appalling. This beautiful big house was falling apart. There were rats and fleas and smells and everything. Anyway, it turned out that she was Jackie Kennedy's, or Onassis, or whatever she calls herself, aunt. Right. And they were part of this, had been part of this aristocracy. And the musical is about where they get to, these two decrepit people, and how they got there. It goes back into their lives and sees what happens to these two women who didn't fit into a society that expected them to be like all the sort of Kennedy wives and things, behaving beautifully and impeccably, and they were a bit wild always. And that's how they end up. And I actually think, most people think the second act is tragic. I actually think it's wonderful because they are being themselves and they don't give a about what's going on. I just remembered I was on the BBC. I signed a thing to say I wouldn't swear. So.
Good.
He did well, he pulled it back. But there's a fascinating documentary that follows the lives of these two women.
Well, it's based on the documentary,
the
musical.
You got hold of the documentary in quite a bizarre way, I suppose.
Yeah, well, what happened was I was appearing in a musical called Cabaret in the West End, and there are a lot of people who love musical and they go all over the world to see the latest musicals. And there was a group of guys who'd seen Grey Gardens in New York, because it was in New York at the same time. And they came and said, oh, God, it's wonderful. They were at the stage door and they gave me a copy of the documentary. And I saw it then, and and a tape of the music, and I thought the music was wonderful. The score is beautiful.
What kind of tone does the music take then?
Well,
Is it? I mean, because often musicals are quite uplifting and what have you, but this.
Well, it's comedic, some of it. I mean, my numbers are quite funny, I think. I don't know yet, but I hope they will be. But Jenna has some absolutely beautiful sort of ballad-type music. The music is constantly telling the plot. As you can see, I'm really enthusiastic about this show. I've hardly started rehearsing, which is a bit scary. I'm trying to learn the lines. It's terribly difficult to learn.
Yes. Well, this, yes.
And this is Jenna, isn't it?
A middle-aged woman in a
So that's Jenna who plays your daughter,
Yeah.
and is recording one of the songs there.
She's wonderful, Jenna. She has about 17 numbers in the show. And she plays me young, and in the second half she plays the daughter. So she's playing a double role, really. But...
So this opens, doesn't it, on the 2nd of January? You say you've hardly started rehearsing yet. You're not going to have a very restful Christmas, are you?
No, I'm terrified. We've got 3 days, I think, off over Christmas, and then we come back and start teching the show.
Yeah.
So I shall spend the whole of Christmas with my nose in the book trying to remember the lines.
Oh, just have a sherry with it, you'll be
Well,
all right.
well, I might do that. Not about sherry, but...
And you always say that you take on roles where you like an element of a character. But so which elements, then, does Edith have that you've sort of taken to and liked?
Well, the element of the show that I like is how women are used by important men. These women were used by these men. It's a clarion cry for individuality, for eccentricity, for people that a lot of people would think are mad, but actually are doing their own thing and enjoying it. I have a line when I say, being alone, you have to be an individual. And that's what they are. They're individuals. Rather like Quentin Crisp. Do you remember Quentin Crisp? Who was a kind of eccentric guy, and he lived in a rather squalid conditions. But there are not many genuine eccentric. There's a lot of people who pretend to be eccentric, but there's not many who genuinely are. And these women genuinely are. They were talented, creative women, and people tried to make them conform, and they didn't.
No.
But they end up in this appalling squalor. But that's what they choose.
Well, listen, if you would like to see the results of Sheila's line learning over Christmas, then you can do. The Grey Gardens opens at Southwark Playhouse on the 2nd of January.
Does it?
Yes, it does. It does.
Come on,
just putting it out
Sheila.
there. Now, also, do you know what? We're just about to meet a no-nonsense nun, and of course you played one, didn't you?
I did.
In Sister Act.
I did.
How was that for you? Was that quite liberating?
Oh, it was lovely. It was a lovely show to be in, Sister Act. But I went to a convent when I was young as well, so I had some sympathy with it. But I'm now a Quaker, so it was just the absolute opposite of
Oh, right.
being a
I was going to say.
Well, as we're about to see, self-styled Attila the Nun, Sister Rita, isn't afraid to take her community's concerns right to the door of number 10.
And Sister Rita to the rescue continues tomorrow morning and the rest of the week on BBC One at 9:15. I tell you what.
Love her.
I was going to say, there's one for the iPlayer if you miss it.
Oh, she's my new favourite. She's a force to be reckoned with. She's amazing. Joe's here now. So we saw their victory for Sister Rita. How soon do you think we might see these advisors rolled out then in other food banks across the country?
Yeah, well, we saw that the official advisors from the Department of Work and Pensions were at that centre, and if that trial works, then next April we might see official advisors at other food banks around the country. And that is really significant because of all the people that have to go to food banks, about 40% of those cases relate to people's benefits. Either they've been sanctioned or their benefits have been changed. So if you have an advisor on the spot at that moment to help them out, it's thought that probably 2/3 of those cases can be resolved really quickly as opposed to 5 or maybe 20 weeks. So that's really significant. But we mustn't forget the bigger picture here. Why are so many people going to food banks? Yeah. If you look at the decade going up to 2013, Britain had the highest general inflation, in terms of price rises for food, for fuel, for housing. So people really squeezed on low incomes and forced into accepting these handouts, really.
It must be difficult to put a handle on the number of parcels that are handed out, but you have got some stats there, haven't you?
Yeah, that's because, there are many independent food banks around the country
There's loads
now.
of them. There's a lot in Hammersmith, near where I am.
Exactly. Now, some of those are run almost in chains, and if we look at just the Trussell Trust, which is the UK's biggest network, they run about 420 or just over that in terms of the numbers of food banks. Now, back in 2011, they handed out 129,000 food parcels. A food parcel will keep one person going for 3 days, just about. Now, go forward to last financial year, they handed out over 1 million food parcels. So it had gone up by over 8 times. Really considerable. And the latest stats that have come out, the sort of half-year stats, show that not only have we stayed at that exceptionally high level, but the need has risen even more. So it really is a record high at the moment, which is terrible.
So some people say, oh, well, just anybody's going along, but that's not the case.
Well, no, it's
Everybody's
not.
very much vetted for the food parcels.
Yeah, the referral process, actually.
Well, that's it. And so with the Trussell Trust, you have to be referred by a frontline professional. So we're talking a health visitor or a social worker.
right.
You get a voucher. People are there to try and help you, try and understand your problems. And I suppose the other thing that's levelled, and I think you're sort of hinting at it there, is people say, oh, these handouts that people just keep accepting. Actually, that really isn't the case. Most people go once. People are struggling so much, there is no buffer zone. There is no sort of margin for error. So they just go that once to get them through that crisis over 3 days. And the average is certainly under 2 referrals per person over a 6-month period.
And we can help, can't we? We can pop some food
Yep.
in at certain parts that are local to us all, and they'll go directly to
Exactly. Most supermarkets have a collection point for food. This is the toughest time of year. More food parcels were handed out in December last year than any other month. So if you want to help, you know how to do so.
Brilliant.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Joe.
Joe.
Thank you.
Now then, there's a new musical sensation on the block, and we can reveal tonight that some of our One Show family members have come together to form our very own barbershop quartet.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, who on earth would be daft enough to do that?
As the One Show street barber, and here's the lineup. Richard Mainwaring, the maestro, Joe Crowley, the choir boy, and Alex Riley, the rookie. And I'm gonna sing lead.
To be continued.
Good effort, Michael.
Well,
I mean, good effort.
it's a different It is a hard
We know
one.
that. We do it every night. Just...
And as they said, part 2 is on tomorrow when the group begin to look the part. They get all suited and booted.
Yes, well, it's time now for our Advent calendar, and to find out why the Cause and Charlie Martin, who are behind Saturday and Sunday's doors, are expecting a special Christmas, then just go to our website.
But this is today's lucky viewer who's behind door number 7. She is Kath Sylvester. There she is.
Oh, hello.
And this lovely picture has been sent in by her daughter Annie D. Hughes, because Kath will be celebrating her 90th birthday on December the 23rd. So many happy returns to Kath. Same day as our Matt.
It's a good day to be born.
There
that
you
one.
are.
It's the 23rd. Now, if you have got a reason why this Christmas is going to be particularly special, and then you would like to feature in our calendar, all you have to do is email us at the usual address.
Now, the big Christmas dilemma. How much do you spend on your partner? Spend too little and they'll think you're mean. Spend too much and they might be embarrassed when they give you a pair of socks.
Well, whatever. Ewan and Lucy have been to see how much Christmas cash some couples are planning to spend on each other this year.
The Christmas retail season is well underway, but research shows that Christmas spending is a cause of strife for many couples. But are we putting ourselves under too much pressure?
More or less. They balance, don't they?
Yeah. OK, well, listen, thank you for all of the photos that you've been sending in. We asked you, could you outdo our Christmas decorations here on The One Show? Well, you haven't disappointed. Sheila, start us off with that one.
Right, this is Linda's rubber glove Christmas. It's
Very
by
impressive.
It's perfect with a little finger, isn't it?
Little bit spooky, isn't
Well, yes, no,
Little
exactly.
bit.
Well, I asked you if you could outdo a badger in a furry hat, but I'm just going to bring up the fox here because you've done quite well, actually. This is Gethin from Cardiff, and he sent us this picture of Ingleby, the
Oh, I
fox.
like that.
He's 70 years old, this fox, but he gets dressed up every Christmas.
It's not a
Now
real
then.
fox, is it?
No, it's half of it. I think it used to be. I think it might have used to be.
It's a stuffed fox.
Michelle and Ben from Wootton Under Edge ran out of floor space for their tree. tree stuck on the ceiling, which
Fair
is
enough.
a new one on me. And this is the piece de resistance in Sarah's
This-
lounge. It's a favourite bauble.
There's a full range coming out just after that.
Thanks to Sheila, of course, for joining us tonight. Grey Gardens opens on the 2nd of January at the Southwark Playhouse. Matt and I will be back tomorrow with Ian Hislop, Charlie Brown and Snoopy.
There we are. Have a great evening.
Yeah,
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you, Steve.
As